Hello everyone and welcome to Extreme Graphics Tech. My name is Angelo, and on today's video I want to answer the question that I put on the title of the video, which is, can Linux replace Windows for a gaming PC? And this is something I wanted to test for a while now, because there is ever since the Steam Deck came out, and you know, with the whole compatibility layer, Proton and everything, there's been amazing progress and work done to make every single game compatible with Linux. Okay, but as we know, because the Steam Deck is a closed hardware, it's easier to control that environment. However, there are some projects outside the Steam Deck using the Steam Deck, you know, philosophy, that are trying to make any computer become as easy to use as Windows or as a Steam Deck, but using Linux for any PC and to game. So one of these projects is Bazzite, probably one of the most famous one. I've been trying to make this video for a while, but I was just waiting for the OS to advance. So on today's video, I have to say that I have decided to test this operating system using an RTX 4060 and a Ryzen 5600. And the reason for that is because that is the computer that I used some days ago to test the Ryzen 5600, so we can have some performance metric comparisons there. Okay, that's the first thing. But also because Nvidia has 80% of the market when it comes to gaming GPUs. Okay, and yes, Bazzite will work much better if you have an AMD, because everything has been developed and the drivers are more mature on AMD on Linux than they are on Nvidia. However, because Nvidia has 80% of the market, then if I make a video and I'm telling you that everything you see will only work on AMD, then I am excluding 80% of the market. Well, if you see everything that I'm going to show you today working on Nvidia, you know that those are going to work even better on AMD. And for this reason, when you are going to select, and I'm going to show you, and this is not a video tutorial, but I'm going to show you the website, how to download and things like that, just a little bit of the operating system and what comes pre-installed and all the things you can do. But the thing is, because I'm using Nvidia, when I'm selecting the OS to be built, I am selecting GNOME. If you don't know what GNOME and KDE is, they are basically the interface. Okay, KDE is the same interface that the Steam Deck comes pre-installed with, and GNOME is like alternative one. From my point of view, GNOME is a better interface than KDE. I use it daily, and I think it's more mature, it's faster, it's beautiful. But you know, Steam Deck uses KDE, so a lot of people are going to be more familiar with that one. But the problem is that KDE right now, with the latest driver from Nvidia, has some flickering issues. It's going to cause a lot of issues. Okay, so I will recommend, if you have an Nvidia GPU, to use GNOME, okay, as your option, as you're going to see. Then I'm going to show you, and you're going to see it's quite easy, it's quite beautiful, and shouldn't create any issues. And there is no like a big difference between GNOME and KDE when it comes to gaming or to the big picture interfaces or any of that. Okay, so having said that, now let's see a little bit of the operating system. As I said, all the options, and then I'm going to come back with my conclusions. So yeah, the first thing you need to do is go to the Bazzite website, and there you can see all the information and tutorials and help, everything necessarily. But on the top right, you're going to see download Bazzite, and here is where you select the type of device you have. In my case, I selected desktop, obviously, and then you can select the sort of GPU you have, which you have Intel, other, NVIDIA, or AMD. As you can see, if you select AMD, you have the gaming mode available. If you select any other card you want, so in this case we are selecting an Nvidia one, and we're going to select GNOME because this one is much better and doesn't have any flickering issues or problems with the Nvidia cards, at least on these drivers. Okay, so once that's done, you put it on a USB stick, you boot your computers, and it's going to be a very easy and straightforward installation. As you can see, I put two hard drives. You want a small one SSD just for the operating system, and then another one for the games. In this case, just a mechanical hard drive. I didn't have anything else to test at the moment, but this was enough just for the test I needed to do. It's telling me that the SSD is being used for something else and so on. You say yeah, whatever. You go there, you delete the partitions, and then you can start installing. But before that, it's going to ask you for to create a user. In this case, I just created a basic user, simple one. Then I use password 123, and because the password is very basic, it's going to ask you to verify that twice. Here are the advanced settings, but if you see on top, it's going to say done or next twice. It's very small because it selected 4K as a resolution for the installation, but once the installation is done and rebooted the first time, this is the screen you're going to see. So as you see, it's very minimalistic, nothing fancy. Then you come here and the PC just starts. There it is, my login. You just have to click on it and log in. Then the first start is going to give you this welcome screen. It's going to install Steam on the background, as you can see there. And after it's going to install, you can log in, and then you will have your Steam account. Then on the next part of it, you're going to see some options of things you want to install, setting up directly from here, like some extra launchers, for example, like Heroic Game Launcher, Emudeck, another thing which is quite good. I was changing the resolution, or trying to change the resolution, because it was 4K, and I so to be able to see it better. So once that's and you select, it's going to ask you for password a couple of times. Okay, so all you have to keep is keep going. And then Emudeck is going to come up. It's going to say, oh yeah, you need to unlock this and so on. So you, well, okay, let's unlock this. You unlock it, you put the password. I was just checking the folder and things like that just to show you. And so you unlock, now you are able to launch it without much issues here. So we, as you can see, these are the options that are available there. So now let's launch for the first time Emudeck. So as you can see, now it's launched, and now it's going to install, start the installation process. I have to say, I give kudos to the developer team of Emudeck, because they have done a beautiful job here. Then you can select easy or custom mode. I went for customer. I told them that my games are going to be in the external hard drive. And then you select the type of device you have, either on a Steam Deck, an Ambernic, or a Linux PC. In my case, I select a Linux PC, and then the installation process starts. It's quite a nice and beautiful screen that they are using here. Once again, I have to give kudos to the people at Emudeck, because they are doing quite a nice job. So this is going to take a while, depending on your network and connection and the speed of your computer, but it shouldn't take more than 5 to 10 minutes. So it's quite a fast process. Then when it ends, it comes you with this, like this is everything that I install, and from here you can start like manually copying the ROMs or automatic import, where you create a USB drive with certain folders specifically created in order for it to bring back. So here you have the ROMs, okay, and it's telling you that, like, the GameCube ROMs go here, the other go here, and here you can select how you want to integrate the games. You can select either to integrate them directly on Steam, which I don't like because I have too many ROMs and other things, or Emulation Station, which is what I like to use to have my retro gaming separate from the Steam gaming. So that's what you can do. This is a little video, and then you keep going, and it's going to take you to the next screen. You just say, yeah, close the Steam input, this is that, going to shut down, it's trying, okay, you finish, and now it takes you to this screen with lots of options for each one of them. This is not a tutorial, as I said before. I'm just trying to show you all the options that you can find here while installing Bazzite. And normally the first thing most people are going to do is the installation of Emudeck, since it's part of the whole gaming retro vibe. So then you see here we have all the options. You can click on any of these emulators or software, and it's going to take you to a series of options. You can choose the theme. You can essentially change the CRT filters, the borders, the controller layout. So there is lots and lots of options here. Even the resolution you can change, set your retro achievement, so on. After you finish the whole Emudeck part, it's going to keep installing more software. You need to put the password a couple of more times. As I said, everything is quite straightforward, quite easy. Here you can select some web browsers. On gaming there are some games and other software that you can install. Then there's like your office software like LibreOffice or things like that you can install, utilities. So everything to start is from here. Like you saw DOSBox staging there, so that's if you want it, you can have it already installed, which is quite useful, as I said, for anyone trying to have this as a retro gaming PC. Now, as you can see here, this is a Heroic Game Launcher. The background is Steam, but don't pay attention to that. This is a Heroic Game Launcher, and you can see there I'm looking for my Alan Wake 2 game on Epic Store, and you can install it just from there. Now I click install, and it's going to ask me where I want to install this. So you click here, oh well, I don't see games. You go back. This is the normal. I choose. I was a little bit confused. Is this right? Is this not right? Where should I go? But it's just simple. How do I select? You see, I have no space. So how I'm going to install it? So for that, all you have to do is just go to other locations, and there is my games hard drive. So I chose that one, and that's where I'm going to install it. Normally I would recommend to create a folder just for the Heroic game, so you have them separated and you know what is what. Now starting Emulation Station, you see there that the Xbox 360 controller which I connected is just detected automatically, no issues whatsoever. We have Nintendo GameCube, Super Nintendo, PlayStation 2. These are just some games I put in there just to test that everything, you know, that the scraper and the games will start. You have all the information, quite beautiful, and this is a theme you can change anytime you want. So in this case, as you see, we just have to press the button, the game will launch. Look at the beautiful borders, the CRT effect. That, of course, if you don't like that, you can remove it, but I think it's quite decent, quite okay. And this, you see, now you have a retro gaming machine working, no problem whatsoever, and we were playing Super Nintendo games quite fast, quite easily. So as you can see here, look at how fast everything goes. I move just fast forward there just to show you that everything is working nicely. So now we go back, we have PlayStation 2, I have just one game I put there, Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution, I have a Burnout Dominator on the PSP, and F-Zero on the GameCube. As you can see, they are all detected are working correctly. So on Burnout, I'm starting this one just to show you that even 3D games are going to run, no problems whatsoever. I know the PSP is not very demanding, but my point is that the 3D acceleration and everything is working out of the box without me having to do anything, and I'm already at a high resolution. Not sure what resolution exactly is already set up, but it seems to me that it's probably 1080p. In any case, if you you can set this at 4K or anything that your hardware supports, but it's going to run beautiful, no issues whatsoever. As you can see here, honestly, these emulators have advanced quite a lot when it comes to supporting Linux as a gaming platform, and none of the platforms that are included Emudeck has any issues running your games on Linux. So now, if you wanted, you can use Big Picture as your main interface. Here in Steam, you can see that we have Big Picture there with the games we installed, also Tsushima, Horizon Forbidden West. But if you go to library, you can see we have the two games from Heroic Game Launcher there. You have those two, and Alan Wake and Cyberpunk. That are two games that I installed from the Heroic Game Launcher. They are automatically integrated into the Steam launcher. However, because they are external applications, Steam doesn't recognize them as and run the settings that they are needed to activate, for example, DLSS or other things. Okay, that have to be done manually, unfortunately, on Heroic Game Launcher when you set the game. Now testing the game, here we have Ghost of Tsushima. These games are in testing because a few weeks ago I did some tests for this same configuration, Ryzen and so on, so you can go back and compare those. And as you can see here, we are using 1080p high DLSS ultra performance, and we are above 100 FPS. And I'm using this configuration because it was the same configuration I used on the testing, so I wanted to have a comparison. As you can see, this is behaving quite nice. The frame time is quite stable and everything is working just fine. But now I went and I activate the frame generation. In this case, frame generation from FSR, and as you can see, is working because the DLSS 3 frame generation is not even available when playing under Linux for some reason, because ray reconstruction is, I'm not sure what the situation is there, if it's the driver or what, but well, as you can see, the frame generation from AMD is working correctly. Now here I'm using DLLA very high 1080p, and we are still above 60 FPS with quite good performance metrics. Okay, So that's a very good result. Now Alan Wake 2, I'm showing this so you can see that also this one works, no problems whatsoever. You can see there above 80 fps at 1080p medium DLSS balance. I have zoomed in this scene a lot just to avoid, you know, the nakedness of the character. And yeah, this one will even work with ray tracing, no issues whatsoever. And here we have Cyberpunk 2077 on overdrive mode. Yes, overdrive mode. So this is like the top of the graphics fidelity for this game, and it's running above 60 fps. Yes, DLSS ultra performance 1080p, but this is a 4060. So the whole point is that overdrive is working on Linux, which I find insane and super interesting that we can play this game like this on a Linux machines. That shows you how much it has advanced. If we remove overdrive path tracing from the equation, we can up the DLSS to quality, and we are still going to be above 70 to 80 fps, as you can see up there. So this is running very good, I will say, and I quite impressed of how much Linux has improved on all the job to make all this game work so seamless. Okay, maybe more problem is with the actual launcher than it is with the game. And of course, Horizon Forbidden West is another game I tested before on the previous video, and so I wanted to also test that one here. And as you can see, 1080p medium DLSS balance, we are sort of around 60 fps. I would say that this one is not necessarily using the full support of the CPU GPU, as you can see there, but it's behaving quite good, all things considered. So yeah, I think Linux has advanced a lot. And now let's go to the conclusions. And as you saw, I think Bazzite has really surprised me in many areas. Okay, the first one is very easy to install. Once installed, it worked flawlessly in terms of I had no issues of flickering. Everything was running very smooth, very fast, and I was very pleased with all the integration options. You see, the first time you boot the operating system, you have a ton of options there to install, like the necessary software that you may want, like LibreOffice or browsers, and a bunch of other things, even game launchers like Steam and Heroic Game Launcher that are going to help you make things run smoothly, and especially emulation with Emudeck. So you can install Emudeck and it's going to set everything for you so easily that you can start playing retro gaming in no time with Bazzite. So that's the first thing. If you want a retro gaming machine, you don't need to spend money on Windows. Okay, you don't need to spend any money on license, and I know but some of you are going to say I never spend any money on Windows, but the point is that you don't even need to go do that route. Okay, you can just install Bazzite and you're going to have a very good experience. It's going to be a very beautiful interface. You can integrate it with Steam, or you can have your own, like a Emulation Station, which I prefer, instead of having integrated and creating a mess of games, because I have like 40,000 games when it comes to retro, so I don't want to integrate them with Steam. And then you have this nice and beautiful interface, easily configurable. It's going to be updated all the time, so that's very nice, and I think it's a very easy option for anyone trying to build a retro machine. But it's on top of that, as a retro machine, you want to play some video games or some Steam games, it's going to be very easy too, because you can set Steam Big Picture, okay, and then start any Steam game from there, or even Emulation Station from there, and then you don't even have to use keyboard or mouse. And I didn't have to install any driver or configure any type of driver, sound, joystick, gamepad, anything. It just worked out of the box. So that's very good. Now, but the question is, what if I am not a retro gaming with some Steam gaming into it, but I am more of a, you know, big gaming or big player? Well, to begin with, if all your games or the majority of your games are on Steam, I don't think you're going to have major issues. Steam detects your hardware, Steam knows what you're going to run, and it will automatically set the right options in terms of what you can do. For example, when I was running Horizon Forbidden West and Ghost of Tsushima, I had no issues with DLSS, as you saw, except for frame generation, but you can use FSR frame generation. But the thing is, for DLSS, you can use it without any issues, and it will work out of the box. If you instead are using something like Heroic Game Launcher, which will help you install GOG and Epic games, then things are a little bit more tricky because they are not configured automatically. You can install the game and just start the game, but for certain options like to have the HUD or to activate DLSS, then you have to do some configuration, some settings for each game, making this a kind of a more tricky proposition, right? But if you are one of those that doesn't like to temper here or play with things, then it could be nice because once you have everything set up, they will work just fine. However, we still have the problem of other launchers like Ubisoft, EA, or Rockstar. Some of them you can make it work, but it's very, very tricky. And of course, you cannot make Xbox application Game Pass work, which is another problem if you're using Game Pass, or you have any games bought on the Xbox Game Store or Blizzard. It starts to get a little bit more complicated, and that's where things get tricky. So can it replace your gaming PC? Well, your Windows PC? It depends. It depends on what you're trying to achieve. But I think in terms of performance and settings, there is not much difference because you can have access to most of the same technologies and the performance essentially the same, better, or slightly under. So it's not like a big deal, or I don't think so. Maybe with a faster GPU, I will have seen a bigger difference. But in this case, I didn't. So once again, the question, can Bazzite Linux replace your Windows for gaming? I think it can. I can, depending on your situation. For example, for a retro gaming, 100% yes. If you are a Steam gamer, most than anything else, I will say yes. Even for some multiplayer games like Helldivers, they do work on Bazzite. But you will need to check if your game works or not. Most games will, but most multiplayer games, some multiplayer games are going to have some issues. So that's something to have in mind. And then it depends if you are just tired of Windows and you say, you know what, I'm going to give this a chance, and then I don't have any problem setting up my games because I play them for months and I don't have to, all the time be tinkering with them. So I say, if you are using a Steam machine or a Steam as your main gaming system, that is not a big issue, and especially if you have a Steam Deck, because you are going to know most of the things you need to do for the games to be run correctly. So I say it can, but it depends. However, I have to say I'm very surprised. I'm very excited by the prospect because this is advancing very, very fast. I think 2 or 3 years ago nobody would have thought that this was possible, but because of all the advance that the Steam Deck has forced to the operating system to do, I think we are closer and closer for Steam to become a viable option. So what we need now is for more launchers to get and play nice with Linux. They don't need to convert the game to Linux. It will be nice, but at least for the launcher to be able to install and run directly under Linux, and then we can do the rest. I think that will be the easiest way. So there you go. Bazzite is a very viable option for gaming in 2024. See you on the next video.